In 1862, with the nation torn by civil war, Lincoln confronted a critical challenge: the Union's slow, unreliable supply lines. Secretary Stanton and General Halleck presented the grim reality. Traditional transportation methods were failing the demands of modern warfare. Studying the fragmented railroad network, Lincoln conceived a revolutionary idea that would transform the war and America's industrial future. In 1862, with the nation torn by civil war, Lincoln confronted a critical challenge: the Union's slow, unreliable supply lines. Secretary Stanton and General Halleck presented the grim reality. Traditional transportation methods were failing the demands of modern warfare. Studying the fragmented railroad network, Lincoln conceived a revolutionary idea that would transform the war and America's industrial future. On the front lines, Union forces struggled with logistical nightmares as supplies crawled through muddy roads to hungry troops. General Grant witnessed the consequences firsthand. Victory would require not just battle tactics, but a steady, reliable flow of supplies. Each dispatch brought more frustration: delayed ammunition, spoiled food, medicine shortages. Something had to change. Late one night, Lincoln pored over industrial journals and military reports, searching for solutions beyond traditional thinking. At 2:17 a.m., inspiration struck. The president's weary eyes brightened with an innovative spark of genius. Working through the night, Lincoln drafted his vision: unified railroads under military control, moving troops and supplies with unprecedented speed. Lincoln proposed something unprecedented: federal control of all northern railroads to create a unified military transportation system. Cabinet members raised objections about costs and property rights. The plan challenged fundamental assumptions about government's proper role. Lincoln stood firm. The nation's survival demanded this bold step. Railroads weren't merely businesses. They had become essential instruments of war. Lincoln confronted powerful railroad magnates whose cooperation was essential. Men like Vanderbilt and Scott controlled transportation empires larger than many countries. Some owners reacted with outrage at government interference. Others calculated potential profits from increased military traffic. Lincoln's moral authority gradually prevailed. This wasn't about politics or profit. It was about preserving the Union itself. The plan faced fierce debate in Congress. Representatives argued about constitutional limits as Lincoln observed silently from the gallery. Opposition was substantial. Many saw the railroad seizure as an alarming expansion of federal power, threatening private enterprise. Reports from the front lines made a compelling case. The Army's desperate need ultimately outweighed concerns about government overreach. On February 11, 1862, Lincoln prepared to sign the executive order creating the United States Military Railroad Organization. With a steady hand, he signed the document authorizing unprecedented government control over private infrastructure for war. Lincoln appointed Daniel McCallum as director, transferring immense responsibility with a symbolic handover of the history-making pen. USMRR headquarters rapidly took shape in a Washington warehouse. Military efficiency merged with railroad expertise under McCallum's direction. A massive map tracked every mile of Union Railroad, creating a comprehensive view of the transportation network. Construction, transportation, and maintenance divisions formed, each applying military discipline to civilian engineering in this unprecedented hybrid organization. The USMRR recruited America's finest railroad talents, Engineers, mechanics, and logistics experts joined this urgent national service. Engineering genius Hermann Haupt demonstrated his revolutionary bridge designs that would enable rapid rebuilding under combat conditions. The workforce reflected America's diversity, with freed slaves working alongside northern laborers. Skills mattered more than background in this meritocratic organization. America's railroads used different gauges, equipment, and systems. McCallum's fundamental challenge was creating compatibility where none existed. Specialized cars were developed, hospital cars with innovative suspension, armored cars for defense, and mobile command centers. The workforce represented a social revolution. Black and white workers performed identical roles with equal pay, an arrangement unimaginable in civilian life. At dawn, the first US MRR train prepared for its maiden mission. The locomotive's military markings symbolized its transformation into a weapon of war. Officers reviewed routes through contested territory. This wasn't merely transportation, it was a strategic military operation. As the train whistle sounded and wheels turned, it carried not just supplies, but a new strategy transforming modern warfare. The USMRR faced its first major challenge when Confederate raiders destroyed a critical bridge. Haupt surveyed the damage, already formulating solutions. Under Haupt's direction, the construction corps performed seemingly impossible feats, erecting replacement bridges in record time. The wooden trestle designs proved remarkably strong, despite their apparent fragility. Lincoln would later remark that Haupt could build bridges out of nothing. Supply missions often faced direct attack as Confederate forces recognized the strategic importance of the railroad system. Military guards returned fire from defensive positions, while telegraph operators called for reinforcements. The railroad had become both target and weapon. Even under attack, crews performed emergency repairs, demonstrating resilience that made the system effective despite enemy disruption. Perhaps the most revolutionary application was the hospital train. USMR medical units reached battlefields with unprecedented speed. These specialized trains featured innovative medical facilities and suspension systems designed to minimize trauma during transport of wounded soldiers. Hospital trains symbolized how industrial innovation served humanitarian purposes. Soldiers who would have died now had fighting chances through rapid evacuation. General Grant revolutionized command by establishing headquarters in specialized USMRR cars while maintaining constant telegraph communication. Inside these mobile command centers, Grant coordinated complex operations with unprecedented flexibility, no longer tethered to fixed locations. This mobility allowed Grant to maintain his trademark pressure through sustained operations impossible without the railroad's logistical support. The construction corps became legendary for rebuilding destroyed infrastructure. When Confederates demolished a critical Tennessee Valley bridge, Haupt personally took charge. Integrated teams of black and white laborers implemented Haupt's designs with astonishing efficiency, accomplishing in days what should have taken months. The completed bridge stood as testament to American engineering ingenuity, supporting heavy locomotives despite its seemingly delicate structure. In Washington, Lincoln and his commanders tracked the railroad revolution's impact through maps and reports showing dramatically improved supply capabilities. Statistical evidence proved overwhelming. The USMRR had cut delivery times by 70%, while increasing volume 5-fold, transforming the Union's operational capacity. The transformation extended beyond military operations as Washington evolved into an an efficiently organized war machine powered by improved transportation networks. In Richmond, Confederate leadership confronted growing strategic disadvantage. Davis and his generals recognized Union logistical superiority becoming decisive. Southern Railroad executives explained their dire situation: limited manufacturing capability, deteriorating infrastructure, and inability to replace damaged equipment. Unable to match Union industrial strength, Confederate leadership shifted to asymmetric tactics, focusing on raids to disrupt Northern supply lines. The USMRR achieved one of its greatest triumphs by transporting entire Army Corps with unprecedented speed and coordination. Heavy artillery, horses, ammunition, and supplies moved alongside soldiers, ensuring units arrived fully equipped for immediate deployment. Soldiers who previously would have marched for weeks now arrived fresh and ready, dramatically accelerating Union operations in the Western Theater. Behind the front lines, massive USMRR supply depots operated with revolutionary efficiency, processing provisions for hundreds of thousands. Food preservation and packaging innovations extended shelf life, while quality control systems ensured consistent supplies reached the front. Operations continued day and night under electric arc lights, demonstrating the around-the-clock industrial capability that the Confederacy couldn't match. Lincoln himself traveled on a specialized USMRR transport to visit frontline positions, demonstrating the system's security while witnessing war firsthand. Walking among common soldiers, Lincoln gained unfiltered perspective on the war's human dimension, while witnessing how his initiative transformed supply operations. As the presidential train departed, Lincoln carried with him both the weight of sacrifices witnessed and pride in the improvements his vision created. During Sherman's march to the sea, the construction corps performed impressive feats, rapidly repairing rails torn up by retreating Confederates. Specialized equipment and standardized techniques allowed Union crews to reconstruct in hours what took Confederates days to destroy. This capability extended the Union's logistical reach deep into Confederate territory, enabling sustained operations far from northern bases. The USMRR's success relied on unprecedented industrial mobilization across the North, with factories operating around the clock, producing specialized equipment. Standardization and quality control ensured compatibility across the entire network, with interchangeable parts and consistent specifications, revolutionary concepts in American manufacturing. Women joined the industrial workforce in significant numbers, contributing essential skills and forever changing American labor demographics. By 1865, the USMRR operated with peak efficiency, delivering overwhelming resource advantages to Grant's forces encircling Lee's army. The material contrast became stark. Well-supplied Union troops received regular provisions, while Confederate forces suffered severe deprivation. As the final campaign unfolded, USMRR operations began transitioning toward post-war priorities, preparing for the Reconstruction challenges ahead. The USMRR's revolutionary impact received formal recognition through ceremonies honoring McCallum, Haupt, and thousands who transformed military logistics. The organization's innovations spread to civilian railroads. Standardized gauges, compatible equipment, and integrated timetables became industry norms. Standards developed for military efficiency created the foundation for America's continental railroad network. Lincoln's railroad revolution ultimately helped reunify the nation it preserved.